you were talking about there are three top Latin American countries to move to right now. What are they? And tell us
Yeah,
why. And
yeah.
tell us why they are.
The three countries have like a really low tax crime rate in comparison with other countries in South America and Central America, and are affordable. And also they have this territorial taxation. So I focus in El Salvador, in Panama, and for sure in Paraguay, right? Is my country.
Alvaro, thanks for doing the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank very much for the invitation, Rev.
Yeah, so Alvaro, I found you guys, as you know, we found each other through YouTube. You guys are doing some things on YouTube, and I'm going to let you explain a little bit more, but just for the viewers watching, Alvaro's business is called Nomad Tax. We're going to put a link in here on how to contact you guys and reach out to you folks. And you help businesses and people interested in moving overseas finding these
Mhm,
finding these tax havens, these specific countries that do not tax you unlike others.
mhm.
And I think that's really
Yeah.
amazing information to know for anybody considering moving abroad, because as we know, we're all
Mhm,
thinking about we're stretching our incomes when we move abroad. But there's
mhm,
also another way to do that, and it's identifying these countries that offer these tax breaks that you're just not going to get
mhm.
in other countries around the globe. So that's basically what you guys do, correct?
Yeah, right. And basically, we work with expats or people who want to relocate in a low taxation countries, or they want to have a second residency permit. Just because the world is changing quite fast. Now in the Western country, I am from Spain, but I was living in many places in Europe. And now in the Western countries, you can realize that they are not offering the same services where when you are paying really high taxes. So the idea there in this way, we have to help people to relocate in low taxation countries with a good services, good quality of life, and that's why we started.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that intro, Alvaro. So let's just start with this. I mean, you moved from Spain to currently you're living in Paraguay. So
Yeah.
Paraguay is obviously one of those countries that is a tax haven, and
Mhm.
it's really a great country to move to because it's just incredibly affordable and it offers so much for anybody considering moving to South America. But let's start out.
Mhm.
What are the top you were talking about? There are three top Latin American countries to move to right now. What are they? And tell us
Yeah,
why. And
yeah.
tell us why they are.
Okay. Today I will focus in cheap countries, affordable countries, also countries who are safe countries. You want to live in a place with security. And also, we will talk about countries with territorial taxation. So, territorial taxation basically is where when you pay taxes for the local income. So, if you have a business in Paraguay for Paraguayans, you have to pay taxes on that. But if you are receiving money from abroad, let's say from dividends from your company who is operating in another country, these dividends will be taxed 0%. Also, if you are receiving a pension, this pension will be 0% tax. So the three countries have like a really low tax crime rate in comparison with other countries in South America and Central America, and are affordable. And also they have this territorial taxation. So I focus in El Salvador, in Panama, and for sure in Paraguay, right? Is my country. Every country has different qualities. For example, El Salvador, maybe right now it's very safe in South America and it's very trend because Bukele law, right? All the criminals who made some kind of crime, they go directly to jail. They don't have option for escape the country. So it's a really safe place now for people, for retired people who want to have like this kind of safe life in America, in Central America. For example, if you live in Honduras, okay, in Honduras you can have an amazing beaches, you can have amazing islands, whatever. But if you live in the capital, you will have a lot of insecurity, and in some other region of the country the same, but not in El Salvador. In El Salvador, not anymore. So El Salvador offer this kind of security. Also, is a, like a little bit trend right now. Prices are a little bit bubble there. But it's still affordable in comparison with some kind of Western countries. If you move from some capital from France, Germany, or I don't know, some capital from US, Canada, you for sure have to pay a really high price on your rental or on your property, right? Salvador is for sure more affordable. Also has some kind of programs for retired people. That's also amazing, right? Because if you are a pensioner and you can demonstrate that you are receiving the money from a pension, you will pay 0% taxes in El Salvador because it's territorial taxation. But also you can get a temporary residency for 3 years. And after that, you can apply for the permanent residency in El Salvador. So you will be able to buy property in El Salvador. You will be able to reside there without any kind of trouble. So that's quite amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The top three you mentioned, El Salvador, and you're right, it's amazing what's happened to El Salvador with the president Bukele and how he's turned that country around. Like 5 years ago, it was one of the most unsafe
Mm,
countries in the world, and now they're calling it the safest country in Latin America, which is it's
yeah.
mind-boggling what he's been able to do in such a short period of time. He's become a rock star
Yeah.
down there, Bukele. And then you got Panama, which is on the radar of many. Panama is such a beautiful country. I've spent a good amount of time in Panama, and it is gorgeous. It's beautiful,
Mm,
offers everything. And you're saying that you do also get that tax break there, where pensions
yeah.
aren't pensions aren't taxed, right? The pension in Panama.
Yeah, for sure. In Panama, pension is not taxed, but also in Panama you have different visa for apply for permanent residency.
Hmm.
One of the main visa in Panama is the pensioner visa. So
Yes.
if you can demonstrate you are getting $1,000 per month,
Hmm.
residing for a private organization or an international organization in a passive income, you can get access to directly to the permanent residency in that amazing country, right?
Yes.
And this is going to allow you to pay 0% tax on your pension, but also a lot of different benefits for a pensioner. So, for example, if you want to import your house furniture, you have like a tax exemption for importing goods in valued in $10,000. Also, you will get discounts, for example, in healthcare system, or if you want to do some trips, some travel for entertainment, transportation, even the airplane tickets. I don't know. It's amazing what Panama is offering for pensioner people. So,
So
and
that's
also Ciudad del Panama.
Making the move abroad is exciting as well as a big decision, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. That's why I created AdventureFreaks.com, a resource built to make your journey easier. Whether you're curious about visa requirements, looking for a trusted lawyer, or need guidance on finding healthcare, a rental, or even your dream home, we've partnered with experts and companies around the globe that can help. These connections aren't just links, they're relationships I've built with trusted experts who genuinely care about helping you find your place abroad. So if you're starting your new chapter, stop by AdventureFreaks.com. It's full of resources to help you make your move abroad a reality. Now let's continue with the rest of the video. You're
Okay, no
referencing the
problem.
retirees. Anybody who's a retiree considering Panama, they offer so many amazing discounts and tax breaks. that it's attracted a lot of retirees over especially from United States and Canada. A lot of people have moved down there that I'm aware of, and they moved to areas like Boquete and
Yeah.
Panama. Panama City's gorgeous, gorgeous
Mhm.
place to live in. But there's other places too, like Volcan and other areas that people are starting to explore as well. Even Bocas del Toro is pretty cool, and there are a series of
Yeah.
islands that are just gorgeous out there. But let's start
Mhm.
off, Alvaro. Let's start off with you broke down what the requirements are, the visa requirements for a retiree in Panama. Let's get back to that in a minute. Let's start off because you picked Paraguay. Of all the three countries in
Mhm.
Latin America, why did you pick Paraguay? And then let's discuss what the qualifications are there for the visa requirements.
I choose Paraguay because, okay, I'm digital nomad. I live traveling. My girlfriend also is traveling with me. She's working online as well. For people who want to live traveling, Paraguay offer something that not other countries offering right now, and it's like you can keep your residency permit, but also your tax residency, just keeping 1 day per year in the country. And that's amazing because, okay, I visit Panama once per year, but I'm still paying taxes in Panama, who has this territorial taxation, right? So my income is generated abroad of or Paraguay, sorry. All the income that I receive from my personal bank account is 0% tax. So that's amazing. And also Paraguay allow me to travel in different countries for different time periods. And I mean, I will still having my residency in that country. So, for example, now in November, I will go to Argentina. I want to spend there 5 months. Okay, I can live in Buenos Aires. I can visit Cordoba, other regions, but I will still pay taxes in Paraguay. So for digital nomads, it's amazing. Also for pensioners who don't want to pay taxes on their pension, they can also join this kind of 1 day residency per year. So if you are a pensioner, you want to, I don't know, live in Paraguay for a while, but after the rest of the year, you like to travel to Asia or to some other countries in South America, Central America, you can join these benefits that Paraguay is offering to you.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason that what because I moved here.
What does that mean? 1 day residency per year compared to other
Yeah.
countries. What does that mean?
For example, if you want to get temporary residency or permanent residency in Panama or in El Salvador, with temporary residency, for keep this residency, you have to live in the country at least 6 months in El Salvador, 6 months in Panama for temporary residency, right? In
I see.
Paraguay, if you want to keep your temporary residency, you only have to visit the country once per year. After 2 years in Paraguay, you can get access to the permanent residency. When you get your permanent residency, you only have to visit the country once per every 3 years. You will continue keeping your residency in the country, your permanent residency in the country, that you only have to renovate after 10 years. So that's amazing because you
Okay.
will get access to the country in a safe country in South America for you, your family, and that's very amazing. In comparison, for example, in Panama, when you get the permanent residency, you can leave the country also like every and up to 2 years you can leave the country, but you have to get a special permit for leave the country for such period. So Paraguay is more flexible. And in El Salvador, for example, you have to visit the country like very often. You cannot leave the country for such long periods because you will lose your residency. So El Salvador, for example, is a small country and you have to live there for 6 months for keep your temporary residency. So I think Paraguay is very flexible in these terms, and that's amazing that they will allow you to keep your residency permit. Yeah.
Okay, that's a really great point. Are there other countries that do what Paraguay does?
No, not really. I mean, for example, in Cyprus, you can keep your residency for a while. And also your tax residency, only living in the country 2 years. But yeah, in the most of the countries, if you have to apply for temporary residency, you have to live in the country during 6 months. Paraguay, no. Also, for example, in Emirates, after the second year, you can keep your residency with 3 months, but the first year, you
Hmm.
should keep in the country during 6 months, and also for not only your residency permit, but you want to pay taxes in these countries. So for keep your tax residency in the most of the countries, they are asking for you to stay in the country for a long period.
Okay. So if I become a resident, I pursue Panama as my destination
Okay.
to retire. I live in Panama
Mhm.
and I just fly out. I move there, set up my apartment, but I'm flying back and forth to the United States, getting stuff, staying in a couple weeks in the United States. Then I go back down to Panama. I'm staying a couple weeks down there. Then I come back, get more stuff.
Mhm.
I shoot back down to Panama. I'm kind of going back and forth for a while. My
Mhm.
question is that okay to do as long as at the end of the year you can show you had a total of 6 months of living in Panama?
Yeah. I mean, if you apply with the temporary residency, that's the temporary residency. You can get this temporary residency by investment or by creating a business. You have to demonstrate to Panama that you will be living in the country for 6 months. If you get the permanent residency directly through investment or by a pensioner visa, you can leave the country more. I mean, you are not obliged to stay in the country these 6 months, but you should get like some kind of a special certificate for tell to the authorities, okay, I will be traveling for this reason, this reason, this reason. But I mean, for Panamanian authorities, they like that you spend time in the country because they are providing with a lot of facilities for you as a pensioner, for example. So as a pensioner, you have to demonstrate with a certificate that you will be leaving the country for long periods, but after you will be coming back. So if you invest in Panama, if you get the investment visa, you can leave the country for more than for up to 2 years, and you don't have to demonstrate anything. So
Mhm.
as a pensioner, it's a little bit different than as an investor.
All right, great info. Let's go back to Paraguay. So you mentioned there's
Mhm.
a income requirement for retirees in Panama, which is a thousand
Mhm.
dollars. They have to show that they make $1,000 their pension per month to qualify for the pensionado visa in Panama. What is it for
In Panama.
Paraguay?
Yeah, in Paraguay, you have not to demonstrate anything. In Paraguay, you only have access to the country through two different visa. It's temporary residency and permanent residency by investment in a local business. So if you want to do it, the most of the people they choose temporary residency, and after 2 years they renew for permanent residency, and they will keep 10 years with the permanent residency because it's easier and cheaper. And the most of the people choose this temporary residency. For temporary residency, you don't need to demonstrate any kind of income that you earn abroad. You don't need to demonstrate anything. It's quite easy process. You have to apply for immigration. You have to demonstrate your police certificate that everything is clean. You have to demonstrate your birth certificate. Where did you what is your origin country, and also your passport. With these three documents and with some local documents that I mean, for example, we are helping people to get them, so they don't have to be worried about it. You can get the temporary residency directly, super easy. It takes around 4 or 5 months, but you will get it in the 99.9% of the cases. And you don't have to demonstrate you have money in your bank account. You don't have to demonstrate anything. Theoretically, you have to demonstrate you have the yellow fever vaccine, for example, but no one is asking for that. So in the most of the cases, it's quite easy to get a temporary residency. Yeah.
Okay, and the temporary resident permit in Paraguay, how long can you stay after you apply for that and receive it?
Yeah. You can stay in the country during 2 years.
Up to
So
2 years.
once you up to 2 years, yeah. But you have to visit the country at least once per year for keep the status.
Okay.
If you don't visit the country, you will lose the status and you have to apply from zero.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Great.
that's amazing and it's quite easy. I think it's one of the easier options in South America. And I mean, we recommend people to get it because it's easy to get. And for example, 2 years ago, Paraguay allowed you to get the permanent residency directly, just showing them a bank deposit with $5,000, and you will be able to be living in the country or having this residency permit for 10 years. 2 years ago, that changed because many people were moving to Paraguay. Many people from Europe, from different regions, are very interested to get this residency. So they canceled the permanent resident permit in just with this bank deposit. And now the only way for having it in an easy way without any kind of investment is with this temporary residency. Um, I think because everything is changing super fast, many people is moving every month to Paraguay for get this temporary resident. See, at some point, it's going to change. Is they will ask for a new I don't know. So for you will have to prove some other things, like I don't know, some kind of bigger investment or some kind of bank deposits or some kind of you have to show your foreign income source. So
Mhm.
for the moment, it's very easy. In the future, we don't know. These countries are very volatile in
Yeah.
legislation.
Yeah. Share with us and the audience. So you live in Asuncion, correct?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
right now. I'm living here in Asunción.
Okay. And that's the capital of Paraguay for the viewers.
Yeah,
It's a really nice city. What are the apartments going for? What can people find an apartment for in Asuncion right now?
yeah. If you want to buy an apartment in a quiet area, not in the city center, not in the most modern area, for example, in San Lorenzo, in some nice place, a little bit more far away from the city center, maybe 30 minutes by public transport or 20 minutes by car. You can get something for like an independent house with a small garden for maybe 50, 60,000 dollars. If you want to buy something in the capital, in the center, in the most modern area, you have to pay a little bit more, maybe $150,000 for an apartment with 2 rooms, 70 square meters.
Okay. How about rentals? What do the rentals start for these apartments?
The rental, for example, the apartment where I'm living right now, it's quite big. It has a huge terrace. I don't know, maybe it's like 90 meters. And I'm renting by Airbnb because, as I told you before, I'm moving very much. But if you want to stay here for long term, you can pay maybe $500, $600 per
Okay.
month. So that's amazing. And it's in a very safe place. When you go to the street, there is a private security cabin. They have guns for protect the area, so it's a quite safe place. So
Yeah.
even in other areas in Asunción, the city is very safe. No, It's not like, as I told you before, Honduras or maybe
Yeah.
Guatemala. Here is quite safe, yeah.
And can you work towards citizenship in Paraguay and obtain a passport?
Yeah, theoretically, it's possible. The reality, it's a little bit tricky. So after 3 years of resident in Paraguay, okay, you could apply for this passport in the country. So um, how, I mean, you have to demonstrate you have some local income source. You have to demonstrate you have some kind of investments in the country. You also have to pass some kind of exam for the local language, the Spanish, not the Guarani. Also, you have to pass like some historical test, but
Mm.
I mean, it's possible to do it, but the reality is from time to time they're asking for more and more requirements. So yeah, it's not so simple.
Okay. All right. Great info. So let's now go down to just touch on Panama. So the minimum income
Mhm,
requirement to re, to retire in Panama is a
mhm.
thousand. Um,
Yeah,
correct? And
it's
okay.
yeah,
Okay. Did
it's $1,000. But if you are a retired person and you bought a property in Panama valued in more than $100,000, this income that you have to demonstrate this requirement is going to be $750. And also, if you have dependents like a spouse or children, it should be you have to demonstrate that the pension is going to be increased in 250 per dependent.
okay. When you guys promote these three countries, like you're like these, if you're going to move to Latin America, take a very close look at these three countries. These are the ones that we recommend. What is it about
Mhm.
Panama and Central America that stands out compared to its neighbors?
Yeah, Panama is super safe. It's a business hub in Central America. People from around all the world are living there not only as a retired, but also as uh, business people because the canal of Panama, the Panama Pass, or because I don't know, Panama City is just created for businesses. So because all the facilities for low taxation. So it's an international hub for businesses. So I don't know, people from around the world with high skills for business, for working in high demand jobs are there. So mm, I think Panama is the capital, the biggest capital and more modern capital in the whole region, in the whole in the whole Central America, right? Because it's an international hub, also the authorities are putting there a lot of attention for security. So Panama is safer than, for example, let's say Panama City is safer than, for example, San Jose in Costa Rica, or for sure than Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras. So I would say also the amenities you can get there in Panama, because it's an international hub, you will get there more services than in the other countries. If you want to find a nice restaurant, or if you want to have like a really good international airport with a lot of connections, Panama is this airport. So if you would like to travel, visiting other countries during the year, so you will have this facility. And for example, for pensioner visa, you are going to get, I think, 50% of discount on your airplane tickets. So that's amazing. So if you would like to go and back from your origin country, you can get this discount. Also, if you want to have like facilities, a good health care system, you will get 20% discount on your medication, 15% discount. So I think it's a really nice city. And also this pensioner program is designed for retired people for living there in a really good conditions and with a lot of facilities. So I
Mhm.
think for retired people, Panama is a really good option.
Yeah, you broke it down, man, because the healthcare is important. But I mean, also, yeah, I heard that a long time ago. And it's a great thing that you brought it up again because people, retirees on the pensionado visa, get a significant discount on flights. It's incredible what Panama's doing to the offerings for people that are considering
Yeah.
retiring down there. And that's why the Panama City, the whole landscape of Panama City has shifted. I mean, you go down there and you're walking along and every cafe, people are speaking English now because they're from the
Yeah.
US, they're from Canada. There's people from the UK that are there. You know, people have
Mhm.
discovered Panama. It is the place to be in Central America for all of the reasons that you pointed out. It's a great place to be. In your opinion, of the three countries, Paraguay, Panama, Salvador, who offers the best healthcare out of all of them?
Yeah, in my opinion, I would say that Panama and second Paraguay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Panama and then
Panama, I mean, because Panama uh, was doing this business for a long time. It's a country who live on business, international business. So they prepare all this system for expats. And Paraguay now is developing faster and faster. Also is getting the name of international hub in South America with a low taxation. So many expats are moving here. For example, yes, a date just point. For example, the 70% of the companies who are registered in Paraguay belongs to Argentinians. So all the people from Argentina who had this terrible economy for during long period. All the people from Peru, from Brazil, from Bolivia, that they are paying such crazy taxes and the governments are a little bit unstable. Many of them moved to Paraguay for create their business for just pay less taxes
hmm.
and the country is developing little by little. And now, when you fly to Paraguay, you can see that the most of the people, or a lot of percentage of the people who are in the airplane, are from Western countries, not even Paraguayans.
Mhm.
So the country is developing quite fast, and that's why it's getting better services.
For people that have an online business and they're Argentinians or let's say they're Brazilians and they have a business, they're being taxed heavily there. So they move the business to Paraguay. How do they do
Yeah.
that? They obviously have to have an address, correct, in Paraguay?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the main requirement is to live in Paraguay to get the temporary residency. After the temporary residency, you will get your cédula, is like your ID in Paraguay. And after you get your ID, you will get your tax ID, your tax number in Paraguay.
Okay.
The person who is coming from Brazil, Peru, Argentina, what they are doing is they get they do all the process. They get the tax ID, and after they get the tax ID, they will register a company. Let's say, for example, in a 0% country, in Panama, for example, or an US LLC for non-residents, and with the tax ID of Paraguay. So after, when they get this structure, they can start to invoice their different customers in different regions of the world.
I'm a little confused. So, for example, so my question, like, if I have a bit, let's say I'm a Brazilian guy, I got a business,
Mm,
I'm getting taxed heavily in Brazil, and so I hear
yeah,
that it won't be taxed as heavily if I move this business to Paraguay. So, do
yeah,
I need to get in a business location? Do I need to lease or rent a business location in Asuncion to show that I have an address there to create that business? Or do they, like in the United States, you can get a virtual mailbox now that shows you have an
Yeah.
address in the United States without having
Mm.
a physical address. You can just get a
Mm.
virtual
Yeah.
address and that's fine. Do they, so can a
Yeah. Yeah.
business in Brazil, can they do a virtual mailbox in Paraguay? How are they doing it? Because I'm not clear about that.
Yeah, it depends. If you want to register a company in Paraguay, for sure you need a physical address in Paraguay,
Okay.
and it could be a mailbox. Also, forget your residence in Paraguay if you want to get your temporary residency. In Paraguay, you can apply with a mailbox. But the people who works as a digital nomad or they have online businesses, for them is not such a deal to register a company in Paraguay because the company will be settled in Paraguay. The service is going to be provided from this company who is settling in Paraguay, and the income and this person will have to pay taxes on that. So the digital nomad who moved to Paraguay, basically they move to Paraguay, they create a residency in Paraguay, and after they open a company in a third country, for example, in Panama. With this company, they will invoice all their customers.
I guess this
For
this is
example,
a
yeah,
this is really a confusing thing for me. I'm not.
yeah, it depends on the kind of business if you want to create. If you want to register a physical business in Paraguay, this business is going to be created for provide services to the Paraguayan people, to the
Yes,
Paraguayan residents.
right,
This business has to be a Paraguayan company, and this company will pay some taxes in Paraguay, right?
right.
10% on corporate tax, and after some dividends, VAT.
Okay.
But let's say, for example, you are a digital nomad, you are going to visit Paraguay once per year. All your customers are from Europe, from US. You don't want to register a company in Paraguay because this company in Paraguay should be paying taxes on the income that will be generating. So because you don't need this Paraguayan company, you will open a company in another country, let's say, for example, Panama. With this company in Panama, because it's settled in a third country, it's not in Paraguay, and you are a digital nomad, you are providing services not in Paraguay, but outside Paraguay, you will pay directly this 0% tax.
In Panama, if you set it
So
up in
it
Panama.
depends in Paraguay, but you cannot open a Paraguayan company if you want to pay 0% taxes. You have to open a third company in a third country, as a company in a third country.
So the Brazilian that owns the business and is being taxed heavily, and he's got an online business that's being taxed heavily in Brazil. You're saying that
Yeah,
these guys in Brazil and Argentina that have these types of businesses are moving to Paraguay because of the tax break.
yeah. They are moving to Paraguay. They are getting the resident permit in Paraguay. And after with this resident permit, they open another company in a third country with low taxation country, let's say Panama, UAE, Cyprus, okay? And with this company, they will invoice their customers, and they are not going to pay taxes on Paraguay at all because the income is generated abroad. That's why how territorial taxation works. Territorial taxation only will tax the income which is generated into the country. But if this income is generated in other region through a company who is settled in other region as well, you will pay 0% tax
Okay, I
on
gotcha.
that. Yeah,
So if you're Brazilian and you say, okay, I'm being heavily taxed here, I'm going to move
yeah.
this, I'm going to LLC this in Panama.
Mhm.
If you still stay in Brazil as a resident, you're going to be still taxed on that money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It depends
So,
on the country, but normally, for example, in Argentina or Brazil, they pay taxes for the income generated around all the world. So they move to Paraguay, who has this territorial taxation, and they don't pay taxes at all for the income who is generated abroad of Paraguay,
Interesting.
outside of Paraguay.
That's very interesting. So it's all territorial taxation. Only a few countries do this. The three that do it in Latin America are Paraguay, El Salvador, and Panama.
No, there are other countries who are taxing their residents like that. For example, Honduras, Guatemala, Costa Rica, República Dominicana,
Okay.
Cuba. But these other countries, they are different for living, and also territorial taxation doesn't work always the same
I
in
see.
some countries. For example, in Uruguay, you also get territorial taxation, but only for passive income who comes from interest, dividends, and in this income you will pay only 7% during all the time you will keep your residency in during 11 years in Uruguay, or 12% if you want to keep this tax rate forever. So it depends on the country. You have different qualities.
Okay. All right. So let's move down. The last one is El Salvador. What's what's special about El Salvador? Of all of these countries in Latin America, it's one of your top three recommendations. What is it about El Salvador?
Yeah, we like very much El Salvador just because right now it's super safe. I mean, it's for this kind of people who want to live in a country for long time, for long periods, and just want to be safe in that country. They want to have like an international community very close. They want to live close to the sea, and they know that, I don't know, they can forget the keys into the car and nothing will happen. So El Salvador right now is this kind of country. Yeah, before Costa Rica was also a nice country, but now it's a little bit more unsecure. So we choose El Salvador just because Bukele is modifying the country quite fast, and also the country has this territorial taxation. So for pay low taxes, it's amazing. But is the third on the list because I mean I think El Salvador has have too much for develop. Um, the size of the country also is small. Panama is small. Paraguay is bigger, but El Salvador is very small.
Mhm.
For some people, and also El Salvador want to want you to be living in the country during at least 6 months if you want to get your temporary visa, your permanent visa as well. But if you want to have your tax residency because you don't want to pay taxes and you want to join the territorial taxation in El Salvador, you should be living in El Salvador for 200 days. So it's a longer period, and you have to be mentalized that you will be living in the country with for such a long period.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's great information. You have a YouTube channel where people can go watch additional videos on these topics, right? And it's called Nomad
Yeah,
Tax
for
on
sure.
YouTube.
On our website, we have also a lot of blogs create explaining all these things. For example, the territorial taxation, how it works. So if you want to go more in deep, you can get a lot of articles, very extensive articles. And also talking about the different countries, the different visa programs, all the requirements you need to have for apply for the different programs. So yeah, we talk very extensive on our channels about it.
No, nomadtax.com. You can learn more about territorial taxation, which is something that I advise. After meeting Alvaro, I advise everybody who's listening to this podcast to check this information out because it can save you a lot of money. Alvaro Granero, Nomad Tax. Thanks so much for taking the time to share all this info. I really appreciate it.
I hope the people also appreciate it. And if they have some question, we have also WhatsApp on our website so we can answer their questions. Yeah.